Right now, a silent war is being waged inside every one of your 37 trillion cells. The stakes are nothing less than your DNA, your energy, and your very mind. Imagine a high-performance engine running at 200 miles per hour, but the oil is drying up, and the spark plugs are misfiring. This is what happens when your body runs low on the most critical chemical messengers in the known universe, the B vitamin complex. We have been told these are just vitamins, simple supplements for a bit of extra energy. That is a lie. These 8 molecules are the master architects of your biological reality. Without them, your mitochondria go dark, your neurotransmitters evaporate, and your genetic code begins to fray like an old rope. Today, we go beyond the bottle. We are entering the microscopic trenches to witness the double-barrel protocol, how these vitamins fuel the fire of life and defend the fortress of the self. This is LifeMax 101, and this is the Vitamin B Conspiracy. To truly understand the power of B, we must first descend into the furnace, the mitochondria, and the intricate machinery of the Krebs cycle. Imagine the Krebs cycle as a biological whirlpool, a constant rotation of chemical conversions designed to strip electrons from your food. This cycle is the very definition of metabolism, yet it is entirely dependent on the presence of B vitamins to turn the gears. At the very top of this whirlpool stands vitamin B1, thiamine. Thiamine is the primary cofactor for the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, a massive enzyme cluster that sits at the gate of the mitochondria. Think of this as the border control of your metabolism. When you eat carbohydrates, they are broken down into pyruvate in the cytoplasm. But pyruvate is a raw, unstable fuel. It cannot enter the furnace of the mitochondria on its own. It requires thiamine pyrophosphate, the active form of B1, to be unlocked and converted into acetyl-CoA. If thiamine is missing, the gate is locked and the border is closed. This is where the disaster begins. Pyruvate begins to back up in the system like a toxic traffic jam. When it can't enter the mitochondria, the body is forced into emergency mode, converting that pyruvate into lactic acid. This is why thiamine deficiency leads to the terrifying disease known as beriberi. But it isn't just a historical footnote. In the 1880s, the Japanese Navy faced a crisis where nearly half of their sailors were incapacitated by kake, the Japanese name for beriberi. It was a mystery of staggering proportions. Men were eating high-calorie diets of polished white rice, yet their legs were becoming paralyzed and their hearts were swelling until they stopped beating. They were literally starving for energy while their bellies were full. Baron Takaki Kanehiro eventually realized that sailors on Western ships who ate bread and meat didn't get sick. By adding barley and meat to the Japanese rations, he saved thousands of lives, effectively discovering B1 before we even knew what a vitamin was. Today, we aren't eating polished rice on ships, but we are eating refined flours and liquid sugars that create the exact same thiamine drain. Every molecule of sugar requires B1 to process. If you consume the sugar without the B1, you are effectively stealing from your future self. But thiamine is just the first domino. Next comes vitamin B2, riboflavin. Riboflavin is the precursor to FAD, flavin adenine dinucleotide. If thiamine is the ignition, riboflavin is the high-voltage wire of the electron transport chain. Inside the mitochondria, riboflavin-based molecules act as the primary couriers for electrons, shuttling them between complex 1 and complex 2. This movement of electrons creates the proton gradient, a literal electrical pressure that drives the ATP synthase turbine. This turbine is what generates ATP, the universal currency of biological energy. When riboflavin levels drop, the voltage of your cells drops. The turbine slows down, and the cellular battery begins to leak its charge. This is why B2 deficiency manifests as extreme light sensitivity and cracked corners of the mouth. Your fastest-growing cells are failing to produce enough energy to maintain their structure. Then there is the heavyweight champion of longevity, vitamin B3 or niacin. Niacin is the precursor to NAD+, the most important signaling molecule in the world of medical futurists. To understand B3, we must look at the dark, forgotten history of the pellagra epidemic. In the early 1900s, the American South was decimated by what was known as the corn plague. Over 100,000 people died from the 4 Ds: dermatitis, diarrhea, dementia, and death. People were found wandering the streets with skin that looked like it had been burned by fire, their minds completely shattered by psychosis. For decades, the medical establishment thought it was an infectious germ. It wasn't until 1914 that Dr. Joseph Goldberger proved it was a nutritional deficiency caused by a diet of corn, salt pork, and molasses. Corn contains niacin, but it is chemically bound in a form called niacin that the human gut cannot absorb. The indigenous people of Mexico had solved this centuries earlier through nixtamalization, soaking corn in lime water to release the B3. But the settlers had forgotten this ancient wisdom. Today, we know that niacin doesn't just prevent pellagra. It is the master of the redox reaction. 5-NAD+ is the sole fuel for sirtuins, the longevity genes that act as the master regulators of cellular health. Without B3, your DNA repair enzymes, called PARPs, are paralyzed. Mutations accumulate, and the biological clock accelerates. Before we reach for the capsule, we must look at the source, the dietary blueprint. Evolution did not design us to survive on isolated synthetic powders. It designed us to extract B vitamins from complex biological matrices. Let us break down the power sources for each of these 8 molecules. For thiamine, B1, your primary objective is the sunflower seed and the humble macadamia nut. But the undisputed king of B1 is nutritional yeast, a powerhouse that provides nearly 600% of your daily needs in a single serving. For riboflavin, B2, look to the pasture-raised egg and the dark leafy greens like spinach and beet tops. If you are a meat eater, ruminant liver is the most concentrated source of B2 on the planet. B3, niacin, is abundant in wild-caught salmon and grass-fed beef. For the plant-based optimizer, peanuts and brown rice are your allies, provided you balance them with tryptophan-rich foods to assist the body's internal conversion. Vitamin B5, pantothenic acid, is found in almost everything, but it is highly heat-sensitive. To get therapeutic levels, you must prioritize avocados and shiitake mushrooms, which act as biological sponges for this adrenal fuel. B6, pyridoxine, is most bioavailable in chickpeas and poultry. Remember, B6 is the translator for your protein. Without it, that expensive grass-fed steak is just expensive waste. B7, biotin, is found in cooked egg yolks. But beware, raw egg whites contain avidin, a protein that binds to biotin and drags it out of your body before it can be used. For folate, B9, the name says it all. Foliage. Dark, bitter greens like kale, Swiss chard, and asparagus are the reservoirs of the methyl groups your DNA craves. And finally, vitamin B12. This is where the plant kingdom fails us. B12 is produced by bacteria, primarily found in the guts of animals or in the soil. For the modern human, clams, sardines, and organ meats are the only reliable natural sources. If you are vegan, you are not just low on B12, you are in a state of biological depletion that will eventually manifest as neurological decay unless you supplement.
But having the nutrients in your stomach is only half the battle. We must now address the silent killer, homocysteine. When we talk about B vitamins, we are talking about the methylation cycle, a chemical merry-go-round that recycles toxic byproducts. Imagine your blood vessels as a high-speed glass highway. In a healthy body, that highway is smooth and frictionless. But when B6, B9, and B12 levels drop, a metabolic trash molecule called homocysteine begins to accumulate. Homocysteine is not just a marker of disease, it is the cause. At high levels, it acts like microscopic, jagged shards of glass tumbling through your circulatory system. It physically shreds the endothelium, the thin, one-cell-thick lining of your arteries. This is the vascular scorched earth policy. When the endothelium is damaged, your body panics. It sends in cholesterol and calcium to patch the holes, creating what we call plaque. We have spent decades blaming cholesterol for heart disease, but the truth is deeper. Cholesterol is just the bandage. Homocysteine is the knife. By saturating the body with B12 and folate, we provide the methyl groups needed to convert homocysteine back into methionine, a harmless amino acid. We are effectively sweeping the glass off the highway before it can cause a fatal crash. This isn't just theory. Clinical data shows that lowering homocysteine can stop the progression of brain atrophy in the elderly by up to 7-fold. We are talking about the literal preservation of the human brain through the power of a few simple molecules. But having the nutrients in your stomach is only half the battle. We must now address the silent killer, homocysteine. When the methylation cycle stalls, homocysteine levels rise, acting as a corrosive agent within the bloodstream. It's not just trash, it's a biochemical weapon. High homocysteine triggers the production of reactive oxygen species, leading to massive oxidative stress on the vessel walls. It inhibits nitric oxide, the molecule that allows your arteries to relax and dilate. Without nitric oxide, your blood vessels become brittle, stiff, and prone to catastrophic failure. This is the mechanism behind early-onset hypertension and the unexplained heart attacks in young biohackers. But the most profound impact of homocysteine is found in the brain's architecture. It is neurotoxic, directly overstimulating the NMDA receptors until neurons literally burn out and die. This leads us to the most significant genetic revelation of the 21st century, the MTHFR mutation. Methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, a mouthful that determines your biological destiny. Up to 45% of the population carries at least one glitch in this gene, specifically the C677T or A1298C variants. If you are homozygous for C677T, your ability to activate folate, the B9 vitamin, is slashed by a staggering 70%.
you are running your DNA repair software on 30% power. For these individuals, the standard American diet isn't just poor nutrition, it is a direct toxin. Modern food is fortified with folic acid, a cheap synthetic substitute for natural folate. For an MTHFR carrier, folic acid is a metabolic poison. It cannot be converted efficiently, so it floats in the blood, clogging the receptors meant for the real vitamin. This creates a bottleneck where the body is literally gasping for folate while blood tests show it's high. This is why you feel depressed, anxious, and foggy despite eating healthy, fortified cereals. The only solution for the MTHFR carrier is the double-barrel bypass, supplementing directly with 5-MTHF methylfolate. We are bypassing the broken gene and feeding the cells exactly what they need. But we must also address the B thieves, the environmental factors that suck these vitamins out of your system. Metformin, the world's most prescribed longevity drug, is a known B12 thief, blocking its absorption in the gut. Proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux stop B12 from being cleaved from protein, leading to a slow-motion neurological decline. Birth control pills deplete B6, B9, and B12, often being the hidden cause behind the pill-induced mood swings and fatigue. Even your morning coffee acts as a diuretic, flushing these water-soluble vitamins away before they can even reach your brain. If you are living a high-stress, high-performance life, you are burning B vitamins like jet fuel in a dogfight. You cannot refill a jet engine with a thimble.
We have identified the enemy, and we have mapped the terrain. Now, we execute the LifeMax 101 optimization protocol. To master the B complex, you must discard the RDA guidelines found on standard labels. Those numbers were calculated in the 1940s to prevent death from scurvy and rickets, not to fuel a high-performance brain in 2026. We start with the ignition, vitamin B1, thiamine. For the modern optimizer, standard thiamine hydrochloride is insufficient due to its poor absorption. We utilize benfotiamine, a fat-soluble version that crosses the cellular wall with ease. Target dosage, 150 to 300 milligrams daily. This protects your nervous system from the glycation caused by even minor blood sugar spikes. Next, the voltage regulator, vitamin B2, riboflavin. If you suffer from migraines or chronic fatigue, your mitochondria are likely stuttering. Clinical studies demonstrate that a high-dose pulse of 400 milligrams of B2 can stabilize the brain's electrical threshold. Take this in divided doses to ensure your cellular couriers are never without a payload. Then, the longevity heavyweight, vitamin B3, niacin. To maximize NAD+ production without the uncomfortable niacin flush, we utilize nicotinamide riboside, or NMN. Target dosage, 500 to 1,000 milligrams, taken strictly in the morning. Taking B3 late at night can disrupt your sirtuin-driven circadian clocks, ruining your sleep quality. Now, we enter the genetic bypass for B6, B9, and B12. If you are one of the millions with an MTHFR mutation, this is your non-negotiable stack. For B6, use only pyridoxal 5-phosphate, or P5P, the active coenzyme form. Standard B6 can actually block your receptors if taken in high doses. Stay within the 25 to 50 milligram range. For B9, you must hunt for 5-MTHF, or quadrafolic on the label. Dosage, 800 to 1,200 micrograms. This provides the methyl groups your DNA needs to suppress oncogenes and regulate your mood. For B12, we demand the active duo, methylcobalamin for the brain and adenosylcobalamin for the mitochondria. We reject cyanocobalamin, the cyanide-bound synthetic that clogs the system. Sublingual delivery is superior as it bypasses the digestive tract's intrinsic factor bottlenecks. Aim for 2,000 to 5,000 micrograms daily for neuroregeneration. Don't forget B5, pantothenic acid, the stress shield. During periods of high cortisol, your adrenals burn B5 faster than you can eat it. Supplementing with 500 milligrams can prevent the HPA axis crash that leads to burnout. Finally, the golden rule of the B complex: synergy. These vitamins are a team. Taking high-dose B9 without B12 can mask a B12 deficiency, leading to irreversible nerve damage. Always take a high-quality B complex as your base before adding specific high-dose pulses. You are no longer just a passenger in your own body. You are the lead engineer of a biological supercomputer. By saturating your cells with the correct molecular codes, you are rewriting your future. You are winning the war inside your cells. This is the path to LifeMax. Thank you for watching LifeMax 101.